Now we're going to talk about the most obvious strategy that there probably is, and that is increasing your prices. But here's the thing, do you know who's going to have the biggest problem with increasing your prices? You, the business owner. Of all the people I've ever worked with, the person who is going to have the biggest problem with it is the business owner. And usually that's because the business owner undervalues the skills and experience that they have achieved in all the time they've been in business. How long have you been doing what you're doing? 5, 10, 20 years, a long time, it doesn't matter. So in that time, you've built up a wealth of knowledge and experience. What you know about your particular part of the industry is like this. The people that you're dealing with is probably somewhere down here. So we undervalue. Now there's a guy called Robert Cialdini, and he wrote a book called Influence. And in this book, Influence, he tells the story of a seaside village and a tiny little shop. And this tiny little shop would sell all sorts of kind of touristy knickknacks and so forth. And the shop owner had a bunch of different little rings that they couldn't sell. They were nice, attractive looking rings, but it didn't seem to matter. So she said to her shop assistant, she wrote them a handwritten note and she had to leave. That was to put the prices up. And she wrote the number, $4.50, on this piece of paper, and she left it with the shop assistant for when they came in to reprice it, put it out the front in the specials box. And what happens, very interesting, the shop owner comes in the next morning and she can see that the box or the sales special rack out the front was gone, everything had sold. And she said to the assistant, wow, that's fantastic. We sold all the rings. It was, all we needed to do was, put them out on a special price. Now, if you watch my discounting video, you know I'm not a fan of this. And the shop retailer, the assistant said, yeah, who'd have thought they would have sold for $45 each? See, what happened was when the owner wrote the number on the bit of paper, they didn't make it clear enough. And the shop assistant thought it said $45, not $4.50. And the reason it worked is because of the perception. The people perceived that because these were so expensive, they must be the best. Now, this is such an interesting strategy. I would encourage you to be the most expensive, whatever it is in your particular field, because that is the perception that people will have, is that you must be the best. Okay, so even if you put your prices up a little bit. So the other big advantage of when we're working with putting up our prices, apart from you having a problem with it, the person next who's going to have a bigger problem with it is probably your pain in the neck customers. The one who it doesn't matter what you do, they're going to bitch and moan and complain anyhow. So it's a great way to filter out the pain in the neck customers. Remember what I said about 80-20? That 20% of your customers are causing 80% of your problems. So this is a great way to get rid of them, because when you free up from dealing with the pain in the neck customers, you can focus on eliminating one of the strategies down the track in terms of retaining customers. One of the things you must focus on there. Here's the thing though. See, we have inflation every year where things are going up 3 or 4% every year. Human beings, generally speaking, are insensitive to price shifts around 10%. Think about fuel costs. Fuel fluctuates a lot more than 10%, but people just kind of get on with it. Anything than less than 10%, people probably aren't going to be bothered by it. So we're going to be looking for a 5% increase in your particular pricing. And you know what the funny thing is, your really good clients, if you haven't put your prices up for a while, you know what they're going to say? It's about time you put your prices up. They know you are too cheap a lot of the time, but they're not going to tell you. So they're going to be probably okay with you putting your prices up as well. So I recently had a client who I've been working with for a long time, and we put their prices up just 3%. It was an hourly rate service they do. We put it up 3%. We hadn't done it for a couple of years. We found them 20 grand just like that. From that point forwards, putting your prices up, if you haven't done it in ages, is an absolute must. Even if you've done it relatively recently, start by just putting it up to your new clients. Okay, they don't know anything different, and then you can work on your other customers and clients further as you're going along. You can do a blanket across everyone if you like, that's up to you, or you can just pick out certain parts of your list of products and services that you increase. But this one is an absolute no-brainer. It's quick cash and it's going to get you moving in the right direction really quickly.